Hey everybody, welcome to my weekly Sourced and Sold. My name is Malika, and if you are new here, I am a part-time reseller. I sell on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, and Depop. And every week I share with you everything that I sold the previous week, as well as some of my favorite things that I sourced. I had a good week last week. Sales were solid, and the sourcing was pretty cool. Let's go ahead and get into it. I am going to start with my sales. My big lesson for sales last week is relisting is always an important thing to do. When I walk you through my sales, I'm going to just go in chronological order. This is for the week of June 21st through 27th, and I'm going to share with you what sold on what day, what the sales price was for that piece, what platform it sold on, what my net earnings were after the platform took out their fees, how much I paid for is my cost of goods, and then finally what that leaves my profit on that piece, what that would be, and where I picked it up. And at the end, we'll total all those numbers. Let's get into it, starting with June 21st. On June 21st, I had 0 sales that Sunday, which is not common, although I am starting to see it more than I used to. It kind of sucks when you start off the week like that, but it did fortunately get better. On Monday, I had 1 sale, and it was this Free People Dylan Smock tunic that was new with tags. This was something I picked up on a arbitrage trip to Nordstrom, and it sold on Poshmark. It was listed for 81 days. It sold for $55, really nice Free People piece. After Poshmark took out their fees, which is 20%, my earnings were $44. And my cost of goods were high on this because during that trip, I found a lot of really good stuff that much of it has sold. This piece, though, when I picked it up, I thought I might keep it for myself. So I was willing to pay up for it, and I just couldn't decide in the store. I was like, well, if I decide not to keep it for myself, I know that it'll sell and I'll be able to make something off of it. I did pay $26.70 for this. That left my profit at $17.30, which the profit is actually not that bad, but it sounds off. And certainly I don't like $26 being my cost of goods unless it's a really big sale. But that was fine. Happy to see it go. That was it for the 22nd. And I'm going to pause for a second. I want to be a little bit more interactive if possible. I love when people comment. So if you have been here before, thank you so much for coming back. And if this is your first time just finding me, I would love to hear from you. Tell me who you are. Are you a reseller too? Are you part-time like me? Do you do it full-time? Are you just thinking about getting resale? What's your story? So if you're on your phone right now, add a comment. Tell me who's watching. I'd love to know. All right, let's jump back in. Going to the 23rd. On the 23rd, I had 3 sales that day. And the first was this Urban Expressions Vanessa woven knit hobo bag. Such a cute, fabulous bag. It sold on Poshmark. It was listed for 43 days. And it sold for $30. I picked this up at the bins when I picked up a ton of handbags. Have anybody else experienced this where sometimes you have an abundance of a particular type of thing on particular hauls? And the haul I'm going to share with you guys later, this was one of those things, but this particular bins haul, it was all about the handbags. But anyway, so after Poshmark took out their fees, I earned $24 on this. My cost of goods on this piece, because it was a bins pickup, I used whatever my average cost of goods were, and my average cost of goods on the purses I purchased that day was $2.57. So I am assigning that to the cost of goods on this piece, and that left my profit at $21.43, which was my most profitable piece for the week. Moving on to the second thing that sold that day, it was this Calvin Klein burgundy 100% silk tie. It sold on Poshmark as well, and it was listed for 114 days. It sold for $10. This was something I picked up at the bins. Ties are one of those things that if they're silk, I will throw them in because they don't weigh really anything, just a few ounces. I was okay selling it for $10. My earnings after Poshmark took their fees was $7.05. If you sell anything under $15 on Poshmark, they take a flat amount of $2.95. My average cost of goods on that binge trip was $1.52, and so that left my profit for this tie at $5.53. Final sale on the 23rd was this H&M Basics gray wide leg lounge pants, and this sold on Poshmark. This was great. This was the first piece to sell from the thread up box that I got last month. And if you're interested in that and haven't seen it already, I do have an unboxing video about that. I can link to this video. It sold after being listed for one day. I let it go really inexpensively. I let it go for $13. I think I had it listed for 20 or 22, but I just accepted the offer, even though I'm sure if I'd let it sit a little bit, I could have gotten more, but it's okay. I was just happy to have something from that box sell. But I sold for 13 on Poshmark, so they took out the $2.95, so like my earnings at $10.05, and my average cost of goods for the thread up box is $3.67. My profit, $6.38. I'm selling enough from that box that it brought my average cost of goods down so low that if things sell for at least $10, I'm going to obviously try and sell things as much as I can for the most part, but if they only sell for at least $10, I'm fine. Okay, that was it for the 23rd. Moving on to the 24th, I had 2 sales on the 24th, so this week starting to get better. The first sale was this mango gray chunky knit turtleneck sweater, and it was listed for 160 days. It sold on Poshmark as well, and it sold for $17, and after Poshmark took their fees, $13.60 was what I got, and my average cost of goods was $1.52. I got this during the same bins haul as the Calvin Klein tie, and both of those pieces and some other things that sold this week were because of me doing a relisting of everything that I hadn't relisted for at least 60 days. That is such an important part of my sales when I do a relist. And I try and do that at least usually once a month is how it usually pans out, maybe sometimes twice. But multiple things that sold this week were because I relisted them. I use my bot for that, which is Nifty, is the what I use for cross-listing, and I use Posher VA for the relisting. Nifty I use for doing the cross-listing, but I use Posher VA for sending out bulk offers and for relisting pieces, and then also sharing on Poshmark. Having those 2 pieces from that particular bins haul and getting some things from bins haul mixed in with some of the higher cost of good things like the Free People piece was helpful. But it sold for $17. Poshmark took their fees and I got $13.60. The average cost of goods on the haul, $1.52. My profit was $12.08. The next thing to sell on the 24th was this Madewell curvy Emmett wide leg pant, also sold after being relisted. This sold on Poshmark, sold after being listed for a total of 130 days, and it sold for $34. My earnings, $27.20. My cost of goods on this piece, $6.74. I picked this up at Savers. My profit was $20.46. That was one of the better ones of the week. The next sale was on the 25th, the next day, when I had 3 more sales, and it was this Ulla Johnson black cotton tie-waist shorts with lace trim. Fabulous, fabulous piece. It sold on Poshmark, also after being relisted. It was the total listed for 135 days, and it sold for $46. My earnings after Poshmark took their fees, $36.80. This was in a designer box that I purchased from News Source. If you've been watching me for a while, you've probably heard me talk about the fact that I was not at all pleased with that box. Things have been slowly selling from it. The box was purchased a while ago, and I'm maybe halfway to making my money back. I believe I'll eventually at least make my money back. News Source has changed their offerings, so I don't even think they offer this box anymore, but I would not spend that much money on a box again. It was too risky. But yeah, the average cost of goods on that box, $18.80. So while this sold for a nice amount, it just takes a little bit of the happiness out of it that I paid an average of $18.80 for the pieces in that box. So that left my profit at $18. The next thing that sold on the 25th were these Teva Alicia sports sandals. And these sold on Mercari, and they were listed for 91 days. These actually were part of the relist because I did see some people on Poshmark also showing interest, but I went ahead and accepted this offer on Mercari, but they sold for $17.26. Mercari does not take as much in fees as Poshmark. They're more like, I don't know, something like 13-ish%, 15%. It seems to vary a little bit, but I got $14.74. And my cost of goods on this, $3.99. I picked these up at the bins, and at the bins I go to, they just have a one set fee for all of their shoes, which is $3.99. So my profit on this, $10.75. The next and last thing to sell on the 25th were these Cole Haan Grand Ambition Tolly Petty Loafers. They are one of my favorite sales of the week. These came out of the blue box that I picked up. That was all shoes. I sold one of the pairs last week, which was those thrusters, those really bright colored rainbow sneaker sock. And that actually paid for the box, just that sale alone last week. And so to have these shoes sell this week was great because now that box is fully in a nice area of profit. These sold for $28.65, also on Mercari. And my earnings after Mercari took their fees, $24.99. And my average cost of goods on the shoes in that box, $9.86. I'm not gonna lie, that felt high when I first got it, but it's actually proving to be okay because I have two more pairs of shoes that I feel really confident will sell eventually from that box. Each of those shoes I think will sell for at least $20. That left my profit on these shoes at $15.13. The next thing sold on the 26th, which I only had one sale that day, which was Friday. And that was this Calvin Klein gray woman's blazer. I have had this for so long. It sold on Poshmark. It was also something that was relisted, but it has been in my closet for 224 days. It sold for $20 and my earnings $16 after Poshmark took their fees. My cost of goods $7.60. That left my profit at $8.40, and I got this at Savers. I had a lesson I kind of want to share that with this one. When I first started thrifting and selling, became a reseller, I was also new to thrifting. I had really not thrifted at all. And so I was learning both things at the same time. I was learning how to thrift, and I was learning what was going to be of value to resale. And I bought a lot of things that a lot of resellers, will shy away from, including a ton of Calvin Klein. I know of Calvin Klein as being a good brand, it's a solid brand, but what I didn't really understand is how much the market is saturated with Calvin Klein. So a lot of resellers don't buy it because it's really maybe not going to be as highly desirable. So once I started watching other resellers, I stopped buying Calvin Klein. I just completely stopped cold turkey and had all this Calvin Klein. The way that I manage my inventory, I do a sort every time I sell something, and then I can see all of the things under a particular brand that I have. And I have a ton of Calvin Klein, but I also notice Calvin Klein actually does sell for me. It's slow to sell, but almost everything I bought in the fall is gone. So for me, the takeaway was, and I just thought I'd share this with some of you because I know some people who are watching me are newer resellers too, is it's helpful to listen to other resellers or people who are out there putting out content like me. Take what you want out of that, but also watch what your own sales do, because there are some people who do great selling Eileen Fisher. I hardly ever sell Eileen Fisher, but I ran out and got a bunch of Eileen Fisher because there were people who were like, oh, Eileen Fisher does great for me, and it doesn't do great for me. So really watch what you're selling and what the people who are buying from you are buying and lean into that. For me, I'm going to If I see good Calvin Klein pieces, if I see their high quality materials, their good styles, I'm going to start buying Calvin Klein again because they do sell, and they usually sell for a decent amount. They're usually selling for 20 and up. All right, I'm going to pull off my little lesson soapbox there, but just wanted to share that because I just feel like that was one of my lessons for the week. The next thing that sold was on the 27th. It's the last day of the week, and I had 4 sales that day. It was this Madewell Coral Peach plaid V-neck button-down blouse, and it sold on Poshmark. This, I think, also was something that relisted because this has been listed for a total of 152 days, and it sold for $14. I went back and forth quite a bit with the person who purchased this. I had it listed for 20 or 22. They offered me 10, and then I offered 16. They offered 12, and then I declined, and then a day went by, and then they offered me 14. I said, okay, this person really wants it, and I knew I hardly paid anything for it, so I went ahead and sold it to them for 14, even though 16 really was technically going to be my bottom, but that's fine. So it sold for 14. I got $11.05 after Poshmark took their fees. My cost of goods on this, I got this for $1.35, and that left my profit at $9.70. And I got this at a thrift store around here that I like to go to called Thrifty Bargain. This was like 75% off of whatever their price was, so that's why it was so inexpensive and why I didn't mind selling it for $14. The next sale on the 27th were these J. Crew navy chino shorts. So cute, just basic little preppy J. Crew short. These had been listed for 100 days. They probably also were relisted too. And they sold for $19. I got $15.20 after Poshmark took their fees. I paid $1 for these. There's a thrift store in the East Bay area. So I live in the North Bay area, but I go to the East Bay area sometimes to a town called Walnut Creek. And I have a favorite little honey hole thrift store there. I haven't been there in a while, but it is such a great store. I find a lot of high-end brands there. And then one day a week, they will have these bins that they put outside where everything is $1. And one time I just completely scored there. These were in there. I found a Ralph Lauren polo cable knit sweater, which I sold a long time ago. And I found a pair of Vince wool pants. I mean, that is a really great little thrift store. This I paid $1 for, and my profit after taking out the cost of goods was $14.20. The next sale on the 27th, another great one. It was this Philosophy blue, white floral print tunic top. This also sold on Mercari. I got this out of the new Without Tags outlet box that I also did an unboxing of fairly recently. If you saw that, you probably remember that. I was kind of disappointed in that. One, I was mainly disappointed because the box was supposed to be Tahari and more, and there was not one single Tahari piece in there. But this box has surprised me because I've fairly quickly sold 4 things out of it, and a lot of the things that were in the box were in multiples. So they were new with tags, and then there were usually 3 of everything, and then there was like 1 solo thing. But this specific shirt is now completely sold out. The 3 that I had, they've all sold now. This one sold on Mercari. It was listed for 26 days. It sold for $15. My earnings were $12.76, and my average cost of goods on that box, $5.86, and my profit, $6.90. This one I sold for the least. I think the first one I sold for $19, the next one I sold for $17, and this one I sold for $15. But this is totally fine. I'm just happy because I feel like I'm gonna absolutely make a profit on it. Okay, final sale of the 27th. It was this Zara satin floral button-down blouse, really pretty blouse, and it sold on Poshmark. This was only listed for 2 days because it was also out of the ThredUp box. I sold 2 things so far out of that ThredUp box. It sold for $17. My earnings after Poshmark fees, $13.60. My average cost of goods on the ThredUp box, $3.87, and that left my profit at $9.73. So that was it for my sales. I have 14 sales this week, which In looking back, that's pretty on point for me. Still being a newish reseller, I'm still experiencing times of the year for the first time. I've heard lots of resellers say that June and July are slower months. And so if 14 is where my sales are, I'm going to feel good about that. That when I look back, that's been my average for the year. I've been in good habit of listing a lot. So I think having 14 is probably the best for me I'm going to be at. I'm still trying to work my way to getting over 500 pieces listed. I'm pretty close. By the end of this week, I'll be there. That's exciting, and I'm going to just I'll be interested to see if that makes a difference. I don't know that 500 is necessarily some huge magical number, but I've heard some other people talk about you'll start seeing maybe Poshmark, the algorithm actually start putting your stuff out more. If you have that much, we'll see. I'll let y'all know what I find out. So let's look at these totals. So I had a total sales revenue of $335.91. And then after all of the platforms took out all of the fees, that left my earnings at $271.04. So that's what went into my respective accounts. My cost of goods on everything that sold, $95.05, which is high. But we know why. The Dylan Free People piece, the designer box piece, those were expensive. So high cost of goods, unfortunately. That left my profit at $175.99, which is not terrible. I will 100% take that, but it certainly can be better. I had 11 things sell on Poshmark. I didn't sell anything on eBay this week. I have completely lowered my expectations of eBay. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but since they had their hack, they were hacked back in, I think, like late April, my eBay hasn't been the same, and I completely changed my eBay, which I shared in another video, so I don't list everything there. I've very curated what I have on eBay, but it's still a good amount. I think I have 150 things on eBay, but yeah, no sales, and it's really quiet. I'm not getting a lot of watchers or an opportunity to send much out to potential buyers, but it's okay because Poshmark was holding it down for me. And then 3 on Mercari, which Mercari has now become my second place performer above eBay. I pretty regularly sell on Mercari. I might go a week, like last week I didn't sell any, but I think that was because I had been on vacation and everything had shut down for most of that week. But otherwise, I sell at least 1-2 things on Mercari week. So 3, and then 0 on Depop, which Depop is very irregular for me. That is it for that. Then I want to look at my average cost of goods and my average sales price. I try and hit less than $5 or $5 or less for my average cost of goods. For me, that with the multiplier of my average sales price being where I want it to be is what I feel is the right amount of, or shooting for my effort, profit in terms of my time and all of that good stuff. So I want it to be below 5. This week I did not make that goal. It was at $6.79, but a couple of outliers that led to that. So I'm not surprised. And then I want my average sales price to be between 25 and 30. I'm trying to push that more over 30, the way that I'm mostly sourcing now, other than some of the boxes I'm buying. I am trying to push that up. So that I want to be at least 25. I did not, unfortunately, make that this week either. I took some low offers, so that pushed that down to $23.99. The earlier part of the week, I was very confident I was going to hit it. And then on Saturday, I took some lower end sales and it knocked it down. But that's okay. Still so happy with this week. And then my average days listed, this was interesting, 102 days. So I don't know what to make of my average days listed. I'm tracking it. I don't know what it means yet. I did sell a lot of older things. I think because I'm now been reselling longer, I have a lot more things that have been listed for a long time. It's good to see those things move. I relisted quite a few things, and a lot of my sales this week were due to relisting. So that's what I think that number means. To me, it's just encouraging. Don't forget to relist, because if you do, then it can give you a boost in sales and keep your sales where you want them. So that's all of that. And The last thing I just want to note is that my sources were so varied. I mean, everything from the regular thrift stores that I've gone to, lots of the different boxes that I've been picking up, which is going to be a really important sourcing method for me moving forward, just because I'm part-time and I have another business that I run that is really going to take a lot of my focus. I have to just be really thoughtful about how I'm sourcing, and I'm trying to also build up my inventory. So I'm really happy to see all these different boxes perform. And if you watch those videos, do know that I'm going to be coming back soon, sometime in July, and sharing my thoughts on some of these boxes. But yeah, so a lot of that, and then some bin stuff mixed in there too. Good variation, and I am completely happy with that. Let's move on from my sales and go on to sourcing. So I did a couple of in-person sourcing. I also had one box that I did a video about last week, which was the box that I got from, what's it called? Help See, and it was a plus size box. So that video is out there if you want to see it. And then I also did a video about one of my hauls last week, which in person, which was at the bins. I had a fantastic bins haul. Really pleased about that. And I only spent $20. So love for you to catch that if you did not watch that. That dropped last weekend. And in addition to that, I also went to my neighborhood Savers, and they had a sale going on that if you bought over $75 worth of things and you got 30% off, I hit that target. And I will say the theme for last week in a lot of ways was bras, and I am now a proponent of buying bras. I think I always was a little bit, but I now absolutely love picking up bras. I found some at the bins that were decent, and I also found some really great bras. I went to just the bra section and cleaned up, so I'm going to share a lot of that with you, and then also some of the other things that I want to share picked up. I'm not going to share everything with you. I got over 20 things that day, but I did get some cool things to note. So we'll start with some shoes. So I got these little Taos sneakers in there. Let's see if Taos, hopefully you can see that. And these were just a cute little Taos sneaker, really good shape. The tread is just fully intact. Everything looks good. The thing that I did not notice, though, is that one of the inner pieces is missing, which I think is okay, but these are really nice. And Taos has a really strong following. I've sold Taos before, and I had some sandals that sold for $40, so I feel like these, even though the inner sole is missing, these still should do really well. That was a great little find. Also found in shoes another pair that has a strong following and has a word that I really like selling, which is Bionic. These are such cute little sandals. I got to get these listed immediately while we're still in summer, but look at the detailing on that. Cute little bows, and these are in great shape. They were worn. Certainly at the bottom was work, but the footbed is so clean. I barely even see a toe mark there. These are great, and Bionic also, people who like Bionic will pay a nice amount. Bionic, when you buy them retail, are pretty expensive, I found, so they do pretty well in the reselling. And then finally on the shoes, another brand that does well for me, including a sale I had this week, Cole Haan. These, I think if they were worn, they were worn, barely, but these are in great shape. Nice leather with this tassel. So clean. Whoever bought these just only wore them maybe a couple of times. They're just in really great shape. Cole Haan women's do well for me. I have not sold any of the Cole Haan men's that I picked up, but Cole Haan women's, this is another one that sold, it did sell for me this week. So these I have a good expectation for. All of those shoes I paid anywhere between $6 and $8 or $9. So then I also had some good luck with pants, finding some things that I really like that were just solid bread and butters, and a couple things I'm going to try out. The first one are these Pilcrow. These are just like utility style pants. And Pilcrow. Pilcrow is an Anthropologie brand. I really like selling Pilcrow. It is a solid bread and butter for me. These are in great shape. great style, great brands. All three things are working for me on this. This isn't going to be a huge seller, but it's just something that's going to be reliable for me, bread and butter. If you find Pilcrow, if you're not somebody who gets it, I recommend giving it a try. If it sells for you, great. If it's not, then I get it if you want to stop. But if you've not picked it up and you see it, I would give it a try. The next one, this is a brand I've never sold before. I see it before. It's Princess Polly. I don't know that I would pick this up in every style, but these are a really cute corduroy wide leg style, and they did not cost much, and I thought I'd give it a try. I see Princess Polly. I've seen actually boxes when I want to say on Helpsy, where you could buy a box of Princess Polly. That didn't seem like a good idea, but I thought I would test it out. Comps on this were not very high, but I didn't pay much for these. I think I paid $3 or $4 for the pants, and they're a really good style. So I thought it would be a good place to start out and see how I feel about Princess Polly. Let me know, are you someone who's sold Princess Polly? What do you know, and what do you think about it? Is it a good one to try out? I don't know. All right, this brand, super happy to find. This is what I was hoping to get in the what was the box? The Helpsy plus size box, and I did not find any of these, but it is Eloquii, which is a higher end plus size brand. These are some Eloquii denim pants. They are a wider leg pant, size 18. I did pay up a little bit for these, but Eloquii does well for me. I've not found a ton of Eloquii, maybe only a couple of pieces, but given that these are a wide leg denim in Eloquii in excellent condition, I was okay with paying up. I paid, I think, $8 or $9 for these pants, but my hope is that they'll sell for over $30. So Eloquii, the more I can find out, the better. Next thing, another brand, always fun to sell. These are Lululemon, and trying to find. It doesn't have the inner tag in it. Oh yeah, it is. So these Lululemon size 10. I've been finding a lot of Lululemon at that Savers recently. These are just a fun little multicolor little legging. These will probably sell for around 25 or 30. Just fairly reliable. Lululemon definitely will move out of my closet pretty quickly, although not as quickly as it used to when I first, and I haven't been selling for very long, but I'm already noticing a shift. Okay, this is another brand. If you've watched me for a while, know that I love to sell. It is Halara, and these are some wide leg pants that look like they could, I'm going to advertise these as career with the little sailor buttons on it in excellent condition. They actually had a decent amount of Halara. I only picked these up though, just in terms of the price and style and look. I mean, not look, that's the style. I don't know. I don't have the other word that I was going to look for, what I was going to say, but yeah, so I do like selling Halara. Halara reliably sells somewhere between 20 and 30. It's one of those athleisure type brands that people really like. If you don't want to spend as much on the Lululemon or an Aloe, Halara is a really great option. So picked those up. And another pair of pants I got, Old Navy. Old Navy for me, if it's the right style, which these are fantastic wide leg cargo pants. If it's the right style and the right price, I will pick up Old Navy. Old Navy sells really well for me, and it's also, if it's a larger size, it's even better. This is not a larger size, this is a medium, but they are just a wide leg cargo pants, lightweight. I have not listed any of this stuff yet, but I'll get this out pretty soon. This is still really good for the warmer weather. These I feel will go well. I spent, I don't know, I think they had them priced at a little over $4, and they were 30% off of that. So what was the math on that? They're about $3 these cost me. And I think these will probably sell for at least 15. That is great. That's one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to make a ton on it, but it's going to be a sale. It's going to move through my closet. It's going to keep things moving. And I like to have stuff like that. All right, I wanted to share with y'all these Everlane. I don't always pick up Everlane, but these are barrel leg, which I do pretty much always pick up. Although I did pass on some barrel leg Old Navy the other day, but they just, I don't know why I'd pass on those. These I did not pass on because people do still like Everlane, although I'm wondering what's going to be happening with Everlane. If you have not heard, I think Shein bought Everlane. I think that's who it was. So everybody's wondering what that's going to mean. Everlane was this like kind of like on the sustainable side, but it was more about the fact that they were like something about radical transparency with their product was Everlane's big thing. And the former CEO who started it had already left before the sale to Shein. I think he's starting something else. So I'm keeping my eye on what that guy is doing, because if he has another product that he's going to put out, that's going to be another attractive thing that we'll want to know about. So I'm keeping an eye on that one. There was a few other things that weren't as interesting to show to you, but that was all I wanted to share. Oh, I don't know. I just left off the biggest thing I wanted to share with y'all. Okay, back up. I am not done. I'm going to now share with you all these bras that I found. I went into the bra section and had a field day. I think I got 6 bras. I got, to start, multiple of these bras that are by Illumi. I found once before, and there's the label, Illumi before, with the tag. I think that bra sold for $35. I would imagine this will do about the same. Beautiful bra. It is a larger size, and it is new with tags. It looks like at Nordstrom, this had originally been priced at $62. If you find Illumi, however it's pronounced, pick it up, especially these larger size. And I really was digging a lot through the larger sizes for things. This is another one that is Illumi. This one's not new with tags, but I think the same person was donating all these. So similar bra. I think it's actually the same one, just in a different color. And then this one also Illumi, and also same look. So I think I just found somebody's donations and scored there. Another one that I found, also larger size, but this one, and I don't think this one's going to necessarily sell as well, but I think it's a well-known, popular brand. This is Savage Fenty, which is Rihanna's brand, also in a larger size. Just the gray t-shirt bra, in great shape. Comps on this were low 20s when I looked this up. I feel pretty good about that. With all of these bras, they were originally priced somewhere in the higher $6 to $8 range. So that meant I paid probably between $5 and $6 for all of these bras, which isn't necessarily the ideal, but given that I think that they will do well being larger sizes, and not only when I say do well, people will pay a decent amount for them. I think they'll move pretty quickly. I felt pretty good about almost all of these that I purchased. Another brand, I don't know if this isn't a bolo, but it's Third Love. I think that more likely this is good to pick up if you see them at the bins. I bought this at their store, but it's because also another bigger size and really pretty lacy bra in excellent condition. We'll see how Third Love does, and because I think that mostly hovers around the $20 mark too. I did find one more other Third Love. This is not a larger size, but it was also just in really good shape. I'm not sure how well that label is going to show up, but this is also Third Love, and it is a basic, just black bra that everybody needs. That was it, all that I wanted to share with you. We will see how those bras do, but certainly I've already had started really, if I find decent or good bras at the bins, to pick those up. But I think I'm just gonna hone in. Bras are gonna be one of those things that I'm gonna, when I go to the thrift store, really start to look for, because I'm trying to, when I do shop at the thrift stores, find things that are either just going to be like, oh, I know this is going to move and sell quickly and sell for probably, depending on what I spend, but at least $20. I want it actually higher than 30, but if it can move fast, $20 is fine. Or else I'm not going to get it, because most of my other sourcing is going to be boxes and the bins. So that's that. Thanks for hanging out. If you made it this far, I so appreciate you. I would love to know what cool pickups you had this week. And if you didn't already, tell me who you are, like in terms of what your status is. Do you resell, or do you just like watching this kind of content? Let me know, because it helps me to know what to put out there for y'all. I am going to be doing another unboxing video this week. If you are interested in that, come back on the weekend, and I will link at the end of this video to some of the other unboxings that some of the stuff that sold this week was in. Definitely check that out if you're interested. If you liked what you saw, please do give me a like. I would so appreciate it. It helps other people find my content. And yeah, if you've been here before, or this is your first time and you want to come back and see me, then please subscribe. I'd love to have you. It's been really great seeing different comments from different people. It means the world to me. I love interacting with those of you who are watching me and helping me to understand what you're interested in seeing. I love knowing what you all are doing too, because a lot of us are like thinking in the same way. For example, next week I'm going to talk a little bit about Vinted. If you're on Vinted, let me know too, because I am starting to list there. So that is it for me this week. I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day, night, whatever is going on for you. And until the next time, take care.